I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Good morning, everyone. It is April 19th, 2020. I'm Eric. Today we're going to go through part of Dave Hodges' Common Sense show and broadcast, and we're going to look at the three-phase plan that the so-called coronavirus, what does he call it, White House team, or something like that, has drawn up, and I have an article to share with you. Well, I touched upon the article a little bit yesterday, but we should still go over the article because, well, you'll see why. So, before I get started, though, again, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to sell you products, okay? I do give advice, and it's usually, it's always advice that I myself follow, okay? And today's advice is you need one of these. One of these gas masks. You need one. Or one like this. You need them. You need them almost as much as you need a gun. They are fairly cheap. It's not a high cost item, and you should probably have a few of them on hand. Alright? Again, I don't sell you products. I don't put commercials on my channel. Never will. I don't, as long as it's existed, and my other channels that were banned, I've never put commercials on my videos, and I'm not gonna start now. It would be nice to be able to get paid. It would have been nice, but those days are over with. So, all of you people who've been donating to my PayPal account, don't donate. You need the money to get the last things that you're going to be able to get. Instead of giving me $10, $15, all the way up to $300. Yeah, somebody's actually put $300 on my PayPal. You believe that? And I appreciate it. But you got to take care of yourself now. The time for donations and trying to make a living in this country is over with. It's done. There's no going back. Now, a lot of people would say that I'm a fearmonger, an alarmist, conspiracy theorist. Fuck, I've been called a meth head on here, which I've never once touched meth. So, and I've been pretty open and honest about the things I have done. All right. So I got a couple of video clips I'm going to play. They are of Dave Hodges' Common Sense Show, and you're going to see why here in the next minute or two. First one, off the train. And of course, excuse me, he is talking about the Trump train.
I am officially off the train. We're going to talk about what that means here on the Common Sense Show, but we're going to have to find a different way. We have no allies in government, and I mean none. Your government has been completely hijacked, and perhaps I should have listened to Ron Paul.
You think, dude? You think you should have listened to Ron Paul? You think? Alright, so you just heard what the dude said. And this is a guy who dedicated his channel to electing another fucking scumbag statist. Alright? These are the people the right have been has been listening to. These are the people that are receiving the leftist leaving that ideology. And they've been giving you bad advice ever since Donald Trump announced he was running for president. And he's just now realizing that you have no friends in government. This should have been painfully obvious for the last 2 decades, minimum. It should have been painfully obvious way back when they enacted the Federal Reserve Act. When they enacted the income tax, which, by the way, was never ratified. We've been living in a state of slavery ever since the Civil War. And that enslavement has continued to worsen ever since. But hey, let's go vote for Joe Biden. Let's go vote again for Donald Trump, even though this motherfucker, both motherfuckers, has stabbed the American people in the fucking back numerous times. Let's keep doing the same thing. Let's keep listening to the same fucking people. You know, the Lisa Havens, the Alex Jones, the Mike Adams, the Sean from SGT Report, Dave from the X22 Report. Let's keep listening to these motherfuckers who told you Donald Trump is going to save our country. He's going to save you. Just trust the plan. Does that sound familiar? You fucking people should be ashamed of yourselves. This guy likes to brag about how educated he is, how he was a professor, how he is analytical. Well, if that was the fucking case, he should have gone back through Donald Trump's career and really taken a look at what he has done and who he is indebted to. But he didn't. And if he did, he turned a fucking blind eye to it, which is even worse than...
all along. My name is Dave Hodges. I'm the host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. And we're brought to you by GetAGasMask.com.
He is not... how can he even say that he's freeing America one enslaved mind at a time when he has helped put the fucking shackles on the American people's minds? Why does anyone take this dude's advice? And I know I'm going to get some dickhead in the comment section telling me about how much better Lisa Haven is than me and how much more research they've done than me. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. They've not done more research than me. They fucking tell you that and they tell you in one breath that we're in danger, we're under attack in all manner of way. And I agree with that. We are. They tell you a little bit of the truth. A little bit. They tell you what's being done to you. But in the very next breath, they'll tell you. We have to, it has to be peaceful and nonviolent, the solution. That's what they'll tell you. The solution has to be peaceful and nonviolent. Now, I'm not a warmonger. I don't support wars. Okay? I don't. However, I do support self-defense. Fully support self-defense. I don't think that one group of people should not have the right to self-defense. I think everybody should have a right to defend themselves. Whether you're a child or an elderly person, whether you have a criminal record or you don't have a criminal record, I don't care. If you're a human being, you have a right to defend yourself. Period. These people who you've elected, Dave Hodges, Lisa Haven, and the whole lot of you, Judge Janine, these people have openly said they want you dead. They have turned your police forces against you. They are turning your military against you.
With all that's going on right now with the restrictions on the American people, we've lost sight of other dangers. The red dot danger is still there. The domestic terrorism danger is still there, and what I call the Tet Offensive that's coming, and all the embedded terrorists. And I've taken a look at the threats, and I've done a threat assessment, and I'm going to do what some of my friends in law enforcement are doing. I'm getting gas masks, and they're on the way.
So now you know why I advise you to get gas masks. And I don't advise you to buy it from the people that this dude is buying it from. You can buy this gas mask for $20. $20. Well, you could anyway. You could. But this cat is going to sell you one that's probably far more expensive because it's from NATO. But let me get off this because it's making me angry. It's making me angry. I was going to share another video clip with him. But here's the bottom line, guys. Here's the bottom line. They have cost us time. And the people listening to them has cost us time. The Democrats do not have a viable candidate to run against Donald Trump. Do you think that was by accident? So, we're going to jump over to the article I'm going to share with you. You want to stay to the end of this video, people, because we're going to go over the 3 phases of the reopening of America. You hear my goddamn rooster back there? He's a noisy motherfucker. Alright. What's next? A train to Dachau. Snitching on social distance dinners sparks outrage across America. I might recall yesterday that I did a video, "We're not in this together," or "No, we're not in this together." Just something like that. And this right here is further evidence of this. And talk about how public shaming is nothing new. It's been going on for a couple of decades now on the internet. And, you know, maybe we should be adopting the shaming tactics when it comes to statists. Maybe we should be publicly shaming them. I think that'd be a great idea. Make them feel guilty about their votes. Make them feel responsible for what they've done, because at the end of the day, they are complicit in everything that's going on because they ran to the poll booths to vote. They elected these people. And those of us who see past the system, who understand that these are nothing but mechanisms of control, have to suffer the consequences of these people's actions. From Facebook to the community app Nextdoor, people have flooded social media platforms to criticize others who are violating public health orders. Some are complaining about their neighbors hosting wild quarantine parties, while others are disgusted by joggers panting on others. You know, I don't want people breathing on me in the first place. Experts fear the rise of the surveillance state is being ushered in by the coronavirus pandemic. I'm sorry, but the surveillance state has been here for a long time. And they've just gotten newer and newer methods, technologies of doing this. Again, they feed all your data into a quantum computer, and probably upgraded with AI now. And you are assigned a threat matrix score. And these scores are continuously updated. People look at China and say they have a social credit system, right? And they do. But what we have is far more insidious. It's hidden. At least in China, you know, without any doubt, that you're not free, and we all know the only way for the Chinese people to free themselves is to purge their country of the communists. We all know this. But somehow, this mentality don't apply in our very own nation. Okay. Quote, "It distresses me greatly to see a few uncaring louts who scoff at the safety rules that are meant for all of us to get through this awful situation," said one user on a listserv for a wealthy suburb of the capital, Washington, which has seen a slew of complaints about people ignoring distancing guidelines. And another user said, "I have a suggestion. If you see such behaviors as mentioned above, why not take photos, videos of the offenders? This could discourage their dangerous behavior," said another. And you know what? I pick dangerous freedom over safe enslavement. That is common sense. It's also common sense that if a government continues to do things over and over and over and over again, decade after decade after decade, voting for some fucking asshole won't change a damn thing. That should be a matter of common sense. So, as I mentioned, online shaming has been around for a couple of decades. But what has developed during this pandemic is that some people believe it's their civic duty to enforce public health orders by shaming those who violate it. It's kind of like those people who know damn well that the right-hand lane in traffic is the slow lane, and that the left lane is for those of us who drive at a more brisk pace. But what do? They feel like it's their responsibility to block that fucking lane because they think everyone needs to obey the speed limit. Just like that. And they're right. This is on-ground human assets for Big Brother. That's what they are. In quotes again, there's a sense that if you do it, you can save lives with COVID-19. We're scared, and there is an urgency to enforce the social distancing rules. Shaming is really one of the only tools we have, says Dr. Emily Laidlaw, an associate professor at the University of Calgary, who studies privacy law and online shaming. Most of the shaming is occurring on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the Nextdoor, and Nextdoor via posts that have names, locations, and or even images or videos detailing social distancing rules were violated. It can be extremely dangerous and allow government to conduct unprecedented snooping operations. And it's not unprecedented. They have been snooping on us for ever. You know, since the Civil War anyway. My neighbors, they're all drunk and having a party next door. One of them went on a loud tirade near my door that another month of quarantine is stupid and that he wasn't going to do it. In quotes again, you need to report them when it's happening because that's just means another month for us to be indoors, another user said. And that's because you're blindly obeying. Here's one that actually sounds a little sensible. I sympathize with the concern, but becoming a police state type of community isn't healthy. Another one said, "This is not okay to take picture of people and post them." Another person wrote on the Nextdoor group app. In Los Angeles, after a user posted photographs of people they felt were walking too closely together, what is next? A train to Dachau? And unfortunately, it seems to be that it's exactly where we are headed. Name may be different, but I do recall 3-level United Nations boxcars with shackles welded into the floors. Wonder what that's about. Wonder what they're going to be used for. Could it be for us? So there's that. Little snitchies think it's their civic duty to rat on everyone else. I can't stand the snitch. All right. Guidelines. Opening up America again. And let me tell you, America is not opening up again. The businesses that are closed, a lot of them will never come back. The jobs that were lost, a lot of them will never come back. In fact, most of them will never come back. How can you say this, Eric? How do you know? How do I know? Well, let me ask you. Has the jobs from the NAFTA agreement come back? Have they been replaced? No. So, what makes any of you think that the jobs that are shut down now are going to come back? They always tell us one thing, and it's always the exact opposite. And this is a good rule of thumb. All right, guidelines opening up America again. Proposed state or regional gating criteria. Symptoms, downward trajectory of influenza-like illness reported within a 14-day period. So they're not going by COVID-19, okay? Anything that looks like the flu. And downward trajectory of COVID-like syndromic cases reported within a 14-day period. So two different things. Downward trajectory of influenza-like illnesses and a downward trajectory of COVID-like illnesses, right? That's a whole lot of fucking shutdown. A whole lot. Cases. These have to be satisfied before proceeding to a phased opening, by the way. Downward trajectory of documented cases within a 14-day period. Downward or downward trajectory of positive tests as a percent of total tests within a 14-day period. Flat or increasing volume of tests. Hospitals. Treat all patients without crisis care and robust testing program in place for at-risk healthcare workers, including emerging antibody tests. And down here, a footnote, I guess you could call it. State and local officials may need to tailor the application of these criteria to local circumstances. Okay? Additionally, where appropriate, governors should work on a regional basis to satisfy these criteria and to progress through the phases outlined below. Core state preparedness responsibilities. Testing and contact tracing. And look, a lot of people who aren't mainstream experts, but experts nonetheless, like, for example, Chris Martenson of Peak Prosperity. He is a doctor, and in a field that is directly linked to pandemics and viral outbreaks. He would agree with all of this, okay? He would say, yes, these are the things that need to take place in order to stop the spread of this virus, all right? And I've listened to most of his COVID coverage. That's not to say I agree with him, but he is an expert, and this is what he says has to take place in order for the virus to be defeated, if there is indeed a virus. Okay? I'm just putting that out there because I gotta be honest with you. There are experts that are non-mainstream that agree with the social distancing, although he says we can get back to work simply by supplying masks to everybody. But whenever these types of policies are put into place, the problem is the extreme lengths they go to enforce them. They will kill you in some instances if you don't have your fucking mask on. The police. Alright? So, testing and contact tracing. Ability to quickly set up safe and efficient screening and testing sites for symptomatic individuals and trace contacts of COVID plus results, positive results. It's too late for that. If there's a real virus, and it sounds like there is, I don't think that it's having near the impact they expected it to have. They thought it was going to burn through us like it did China. But we have many cultural differences here that helped stop that from happening. So, ability to test syndromic ILI indicated persons, that's flu-like illness, influenza-like illness, for COVID and trace contacts of COVID-positive results. Ensure Sentinel surveillance sites are screening for asymptomatic cases and contacts for COVID plus or positive results are traced. Sites operate at locations that serve older individuals, lower income Americans, racial minorities, and Native Americans. Healthcare system capacity. Ability to quickly and independently supply sufficient personal protective equipment and critical medical equipment to handle dramatic surge in need. Now, let me stop there for a moment and say they're expecting this of local governments when they are not even effective in any of it. I mean, just look at how long it took for them to even acknowledge. Plans. Protect the health and safety of workers in critical industries. Protect the health and safety of those living and working in high-risk facilities like senior care facilities. Protect employees and users of mass transit. Advise citizens regarding protocols for social distancing and face coverings. And again, they got on TV, mainstream media, and the Surgeon General, Dr. Fauci, that cunt they have, Burks, or something like that, and told the public, you do not need face masks. They are dangerous to you. They increase the probability that you're going to get COVID-19. And then 2 weeks later, well, you know. How do you trust a government like that? How? Yeah. Monitor conditions and immediately take steps to limit and mitigate any rebounds or outbreaks by starting a phase or returning to an earlier phase depending on severity. Proposed phase approach. Based on up-to-date data and readiness, mitigate risks of resurgence, protects the most vulnerable. implementable on statewide or county-by-county basis at governor's discretion. Guidelines for all phases, individuals, continue to practice good hygiene. I'm not going to even go over any of that because you're grown fucking people, and if you don't know to wash your hands every so often by this time, then I don't know what to tell you. You should wash your hands. We do very disgusting things with our hands, and then we touch our food with them. It's only a matter of common sense that you should wash your hands. And people who feel sick should stay home. And this is one of my biggest problems with public school, is people out there will send their kid to school sick as fuck. And you know how uncaring you have to be as a parent to do that? If you do that, you really are a shitty parent. Seriously. Guidelines for all phases, employers. Now, this is one of the things that I can tell you how I know these businesses are coming back. It's the conditions by which they are able to return. Develop and implement appropriate policies in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations and guidance, and informed by industry best practices regarding, and it's the same shit, social distancing, temperature checks, testing, isolating, and contact tracing. And they're putting this in the as a responsibility of an employer. Testing, isolating, and contact tracing. Sanitation. Use and disinfection of common and high traffic areas. Business travel. Phase 1 for states and regions that satisfy the gating criteria. All right. All vulnerable individuals. This is phase 1. Individuals. All vulnerable individuals should continue to shelter in place. Members of households with vulnerable residents should be aware that by returning to work or other environments where distancing is not practical, they could carry the virus back home. Precautions should be taken to isolate from vulnerable residents. All individuals, when in public, like parks, outdoor recreation areas, shopping, and so on, should maximize physical distance from others. And by the way, I do this anyway. When somebody stands too close to me at the gas station or wherever it might be, I ask them, are they going to hump my leg? And you don't know how many times that's almost gotten me into a fight, too, but I don't give a shit. I don't want you standing so close to me. Social settings of more than 10 people, where appropriate and distancing may not be practical, should be avoided unless precautionary measures are observed. Avoid socializing in groups of more than 10 people in circumstances that do not readily allow for appropriate physical distancing. Minimize non-essential travel. Phase 1 for employers. Continue to encourage telework whenever possible and feasible with business operations. If possible, return to work in phases. Close common areas where personnel are likely to congregate and interact, or enforce strict social distancing protocols. Minimize non-essential travel and adhere to CDC guidelines regarding isolation following travel. Strongly consider special accommodations for personnel who are members of a vulnerable population. Phase 1, specific types of employers. And this is just my opinion, okay? I don't know for sure, but I don't think there's going to be any public schools anymore. I think a lot of the things that Americans have taken for granted, taken advantage of, are never going to come back. Schools and organized youth activities like daycare camp that are currently closed should remain closed. Visits to senior living facilities and hospitals should be prohibited. Those who do interact with residents and patients must adhere to strict protocols regarding hygiene. Large venues, sit-down dining, movie theaters, sporting venues, places of worship can operate, thank you, mighty ones, can operate under strict physical distancing protocols. Elective surgeries can resume as clinically appropriate on an outpatient basis at facilities that adhere to CMS guidelines. Gyms can stay open if they adhere to physical or strict physical distancing and sanitation protocols. Bars should remain closed. Phase 2, for states and regions with no evidence of rebound and that satisfy the gating criteria a second time. Phase 2 for individuals. All vulnerable individuals should continue to shelter in place. Members of households with vulnerable residents should be aware that by returning to work, and it says the same thing as the above, all individuals, when in public, parks, and so on, should maximize physical distance from each other. So nothing has changed. Non-essential travel can resume. Oh, thank you, oh, mighty lords. What will they ever do without you? Well, what the fuck? Okay. Phase 2 for employers. Continue to encourage telework. Close common areas. Non-essential travel can resume. Thank you again, almighty ones. Strongly consider special accommodation for members of the vulnerable population. Phase 2 for specific types of employers. Schools and organized youth activities can reopen. Yay, parents, you get to dump your children off again, even though you should be the ones taking care of them and not strangers who are possibly fucking child molesters. But I digress. Visits to senior care facilities and hospitals should be prohibited. Large venues like movie theaters and so on and so forth can operate under moderate physical distancing protocols. Elective surgeries, it says the same thing. This time, bars may operate with diminished standing room occupancy where applicable and appropriate. Phase 3, individuals Vulnerable individuals can resume public interactions but should practice social distancing. Low-risk populations should consider minimizing time spent in crowded environments. Phase 3 employers resume unrestricted staffing of work sites. Phase 3 for specific types of employers. Visits to senior care facilities can resume. Those who interact with residents and patients must be diligent regarding hygiene. Large venues can operate under limited physical distancing protocols. Gyms remain open. Bars may operate with increased standing room capacity. Okay, back up here to the top. Well, am I going to get to it? Where'd the damn, there we go. It is the influenza-like illness that is going to keep the country from operating the way it was ever again. It's too late for that. The jobs are lost, and a lot of the businesses are lost already. But they have made sure that they have a broad range of symptoms to work with in keeping everything closed down and their thumbs on our heads. They've made sure of this. And your president has to sign off on it. Your president had to sign off on the bailout package, or relief package as they call it, where his friends, his favorite corporations, and they get bailed out to the tune of trillions of dollars, while the American people suffer a degradation of our supply chain and get a measly $1,200 and $500 for the children. At that $2,200 for a family of 4 will not last. Again, do not listen to people who tell you to go out and vote. Do not listen to people who tell you that there's a savior just around the corner. Do not listen to people who think government is a good idea in any way. These people will lead you straight to the doors of Dachau. Until next time, kill the state, live free.